They only cheer when the circus rolls into town. They only glance your way when your pain dazzles them. They overlook you when you're constructing, only noticing when you're crumbling. That's the way it goes. That's how it's always been. You tried to be authentic in a world draped in falsehoods, hoping they'd see you. You believed they'd embrace your truth, but they don't cherish authenticity. It unnerves them. It lays bare their flaws. It stirs discomfort. So what do? They mock. They whisper. They turn away until you fade. Then suddenly, you're one of a kind. Suddenly, you're irreplaceable. And that's the cruel twist, friend. That's Bane's grandest taunt. They wait until your spark dies to admit you were their only light. They'll realize your value too late. By then, you're gone, and you won't return for their regret. Not this time. You poured out loyalty, expecting it in return. You gave your time, your heart, your sweat. You gave them you, yet they treated you like a backup plan, like you fell short, like you were insignificant. Here's the truth they'll never confess. It was never about you lacking. It was about them not being ready for someone genuine. They knew you were rare, but they convinced themselves they could find better, simpler, less demanding. So they left you unread, made you plead for scraps, and chased others while you built dreams around them. When you finally walked away, silent as a shadow, that quiet roared louder than any words you ever spoke. That silence haunts them because deep down, they know they squandered something irreplaceable. But pride keeps their lips sealed. Have you noticed how they return when you stop caring? That's not chance. That's consequence. They don't miss you. They miss the version of themselves that felt significant in your presence. You were the mirror hiding their chaos. When you left, you took that mirror with you. Now they're forced to face their true selves. Hollow, false, ungrateful. That's the power of leaving without a word. You owe no closure to those who opened wounds. You don't need to justify your absence to people who ignored your silent cries for help. Let them stew in the quiet they crafted. Let them simmer in the guilt they suppressed. If they return with, "I miss you," just smile. Not out of forgiveness, but because you see their loss was their lesson, not yours. Being a good soul in a cruel world means learning that kindness doesn't guarantee kindness in return. The more you love, the more you'll be tested. The more you give, the more they'll take until you're drained, empty, depleted. Yet they'll ask why you're distant, as if they didn't ice you out first. Here's the shift. That pain, that betrayal, that abandonment, you don't bury it. You build with it. You wield it. You transform it into silence, and that silence becomes strength. When you stop reacting, stop explaining, stop caring, that's when they falter. That's when they see you were never the issue. You were the proof they needed to grow, and they chose to stay small. Now they live with that choice. You're done proving your worth to those who saw it and still played blind. They never witnessed the nights you questioned your value, did they? The hours you sat in silence, wondering what more you could give, what more you could mend, what parts of yourself you had to shatter to be enough for those who never deserved you. They didn't see the wars you fought alone while smiling for them. They didn't notice how you swallowed pain to grant them peace. The cruelest part, they mistook your silence for weakness. They thought your lack of screams meant you didn't hurt, that your restraint meant you didn't feel, but suffering quietly. That's the fiercest kind of pain. Now, when your silence becomes your shield, your absence your fortress, they'll call you cold, aloof, unfeeling. Where was that concern when you were bleeding inside, hoping someone would see you were drowning without a word? Now they miss you, not because they loved you, but because they lost control. You were their comfort, their crutch, their emotional anchor, but you've outgrown that role. You're no longer their fool. Don't you dare feel guilty for it. Don't feel bad for healing in private, for leaving behind those who only knew how to hurt you. This world thrives on guilt, using your kindness like currency. When it drains you, it discards you, acting like you were never worth anything. But you were. You always were. Now that you've gone quiet, now that you've chosen yourself, they feel it. The absence of your warmth, your attention, your time. You were their light in a world of cold shoulders, and they traded you for fleeting distractions, thinking they'd find better. They didn't realize there's no better than someone who'd walk through fire barefoot to ensure they were okay. That kind of heart doesn't come twice, it doesn't repeat. When they grasp what they lost, it'll be too late. Once you're at peace with being alone, you stop begging to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding you. You were never hard to love. You were expecting loyalty in a world that treats people like seasons, temporary, replaceable, forgettable. They want your light, but flee when it storms. They'll feast at your table, but let you starve when you need them. The worst part? They'll act shocked when you walk away. They'll say you've changed, as if you're the villain for guarding your peace. But you didn't change. You just stopped letting your worth be bartered by those who couldn't see it. Let them call you heartless. Let them whisper lies. Let them spin their tales. The truth, it's something they can't face. The truth is, they lost the only real thing in their lives, and they'll spend years searching for fragments of you in others who will never measure up. You gave them your soul, the rarest gift one can offer, genuine presence. You weren't flawless, but you were real. You stood by them when it cost you peace. You stayed when leaving was easier. You forgave things that broke you to keep them near. In return, they made you feel like you asked too much, like being seen, heard, or valued was a burden, like your love was a favor they granted you. But they failed to see your presence was the blessing, your loyalty, the gift. Now that you've withdrawn it, now that you've chosen silence over conflict, distance over chaos, they see it. Too late, they see that silence isn't empty. It's filled with everything they ignored. Every unspoken word, every hidden tear, every time you swallowed pain to keep peace. That silence screams now, and all they can do is sit with it, remembering you. They'll replay memories like old tapes they took for granted. Every smile you gave, every time you mended their broken pieces while your hands bled. Trust me, they'll feel it, the cold sting of reality when they reach out and find nothing. No response, no warmth, no comfort, just absence. That's your justice. Not revenge, not hatred, just absence. That quiet, piercing lesson that teaches them the cost of treating a loyal heart like a convenience. They'll sit in crowded rooms and still feel your absence echo in their chest, not because they want you back, but because they can't erase how you loved them like no one else could. That love leaves scars when it's gone. Deep scars that don't bleed, but burn. Scars they hide behind forced smiles and noisy crowds, hoping no one sees the void you left. Maybe you're still hurting, still carrying the weight of their actions. That's okay. Healing isn't tidy. It's raw, chaotic, screaming into pillows while pretending you're fine when your chest aches. But you're not broken. You're rebuilding. You're not weak for feeling. You're strong for enduring. You carried people who'd have dropped you without a thought. You loved those who only took. Even now, with scars on your soul and silence on your lips, you're standing. That makes you formidable. When a kind soul goes quiet, that's not weakness. It's transformation. You've seen enough, felt enough, been drained enough to know peace is worth more than attention, solitude safer than false company, walking alone better than chasing those who wouldn't crawl an inch for you. Now you move differently, speaking less, observing more. You don't explain, beg, or chase because you know those who care don't need reminders, and those who don't won't change, no matter how much you give. So you give to yourself now, your time, your energy, your love. You nourish your own soul instead of starving it for others. Suddenly, you see clearly. Their loyalty was fleeting, their love fragile, their priorities never about you. That clarity is your strength. It stings at first, but it frees you. When you stop pretending about who they are, you stop needing them. You stop romanticizing pain and start rebuilding quietly, fiercely, relentlessly. When they return, realizing they lost something rare, you'll smile, not because you want them back, but because you want yourself more. People only value what they had when it's gone. That's human nature. They take you for granted until you're no longer there. Then the calls go unanswered, the messages stay unread, the door they once walked through freely is locked, not out of spite, but self-preservation. You protected them when you were bleeding. Now you protect yourself. They'll call it cold, call it ego. Let them say what they must to sleep at night. Your truth doesn't need their approval. You owe no explanations for your peace. They chose their comfort over your pain too many times. Now you choose silence over their chaos. That silence hurts them more than words ever could, because now they face the truth. You were always enough, and they were too blind to see it until it was too late. They'll scroll through old photos, linger on conversations they ignored, wondering how they let someone like you slip away. Regret is a slow poison, and you were the cure they dismissed. They thought you'd always be there, that your loyalty was endless, your patience infinite. But even the strongest walls crack under enough blows. Even the kindest hearts shut down when exhausted. You didn't leave because you stopped caring. You left because you tired of caring alone. Now they're left with the consequences of mistaking your love for weakness. They'll say you changed, got cold, switched up. No, you got wise. You stopped showing up for those who wouldn't care if you vanished. Now they flinch at the thought of you never returning. That's what happens when people realize what they lost won't wait forever, while they grapple with the void you left. You're building silently, without fanfare, just growth. They'll see your transformation. They'll hear the whispers. They'll feel the shift when your name arises. When someone learns to love themselves as fiercely as they loved others, everything changes. You're no longer chasing approval, fixing those who won't fix themselves, or watering dead plants hoping they'll bloom. You're focused, disciplined, not out of hate, but because you love yourself enough to reject half-hearted love and one-sided loyalty. That peace unnerves those who thrived on your brokenness, who no longer recognize you because the version they controlled is gone. You're gone. You've evolved. No apology, no excuse, no reunion can touch what you've built within. They'll call your name in empty rooms, search for your essence in others, chasing the feeling you gave without asking for anything back. But no one will match your presence. No one will know their depths as you did. That will haunt them. Not because you were perfect, but because you were real, consistent, their safe haven they abandoned for fleeting thrills. Now they're stuck with substitutes that fall short. They'll pretend they're fine, posting smiles, filling time with noise. But at night, in the quiet, the truth creeps in. They'll remember every time they took your softness for granted, laughed at your pain, chose others over you. That regret will linger forever because when you walked away, you meant it. You were done. The world doesn't teach people to value a pure soul. It teaches them to exploit it, drain it, keep it close for convenience until it demands respect. Then you're suddenly too much. But you weren't too much. They were too small, too selfish, too immature to grasp the worth of someone who stayed solid while being torn apart. Now they know, sitting in their mess, trying to piece together a version of you they can live with. But that version is gone. You're not angry or bitter. You're just done explaining pain to those who only hear when they're hurting. When they realize they lost something irreplaceable, they'll reach for you, but find only absence. Hear only silence. In that silence, they'll learn too late what you were worth. They'll tell themselves it wasn't their fault, that you were too sensitive, that you changed, that you gave up too soon, but they know the truth. You stayed longer than anyone would have. You carried their burdens while acting like they were light. You bit your tongue, swallowed pain, and kept choosing them while they auditioned for others' attention. They'll try to rewrite the story, but facts don't bend to their narrative. They had someone who showed up, stood firm, loved unflinchingly, and they discarded it like it was nothing. Now they crave closure, but closure isn't something you get from the one you broke. It's what you give yourself when you accept you deserved better and walk away without needing revenge or validation. Just silence, peace, a clean break from those who only loved you when you were slipping away. They were comfortable with your brokenness because it fed their ego. Your need for them made them feel powerful. Your pursuit fed their pride. The day you stopped calling, stopped checking in, stopped being available, that's when they panicked. Not out of love, but loss of control. They weren't drawn to your light. They were addicted to dimming it. When they realized they couldn't control that light anymore, they threw out words like cold, heartless, changed. No, you didn't change. You armored your heart after it was trampled. Learning hurts, but staying the same for those who wouldn't meet you halfway hurts more. Your silence isn't just absence. It's a mirror, a warning that not everyone who loves you deserves to keep you. One day, they'll meet someone who reminds them of you, a glint in the eyes, a tone, a gesture that stings like a memory. But it won't be you, just a faint echo, a shadow. In that moment, they'll feel a pain they won't name. Knowing the real thing, the love that healed while they wounded it, doesn't come twice. That realization is their punishment, the slow ache of trading gold for glitter. They'll never admit it. Pride won't allow it. But it'll show in their eyes, their silence, the way they freeze when your name surfaces. What haunts them more than heartbreak is the guilt of breaking someone who didn't deserve it. That guilt is eternal, sticking, whispering in the quiet when all else fades. But you'll be long gone, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, untouchable. You won't be angry or hoping for apologies. You'll be living, thriving, moving in silence with peace as your shield. You'll look back, not with sadness, but clarity, seeing how far you've come, how much you've grown, how little you needed them to become who you are. They were the lesson, you were the blessing. They were the test, you were the cure. In that quiet knowing lies power, unfakeable, unbought, unborrowed. It terrifies those who once controlled you. They'll feel it every time you cross their mind, every time someone tries to mimic your presence and fails. That's when the truth hits like a hammer. They'll learn too late what you were worth. They won't admit it aloud. Ego won't let them, but they'll stalk your silence like a crime scene, scrolling through old messages, replaying your voice in their minds, wondering how someone who gave so much could vanish without a fight. But your silence was the fight, the loudest scream, the final stand. When a loyal soul stops fighting for you, the war is over, and you lost. Not because they hate you or seek revenge, but because they realized they were bleeding alone on a battlefield where you were the enemy. When they look back, trying to pinpoint when it shifted, they'll see it wasn't sudden but gradual, 1,000 cuts from neglect, lies, disrespect. Every time they said, "It's not that deep," laughed off your pain, or gave less than you gave, they twisted the knife. Now the blade is gone, but the wound remains. They realize it was that deep. Always was. Those you gave your softest parts to will try to replace you with noise, parties, people, posts, anything to drown your absence. But it won't work, because nothing hits harder than losing someone real in a world of masks. They'll meet others, but those others won't sit with their silence like you did, won't read their pain without words, won't hold them without asking. People like you aren't made, they're born. Once you're gone, every almost feels like a ghost, every smile forced, every moment off, like a puzzle, missing its core. You were the piece they didn't know they needed until the picture fell apart. Now they're stuck with connections that look right but feel wrong, because no one can replace the love you carried for them without asking for anything back. And you're learning to breathe without their approval, to smile without their attention. You stop proving your worth to those blind to it. You stop knocking on doors never meant to open. It's not pride, it's peace. The kind born from surviving fire without turning bitter. You're not perfect, but you're aware of your value, your energy, how much you gave to those who only took. Now that you've set boundaries, gone silent, they're confused because the you they disrespected is gone. The old you would have chased, begged, tried to fix what broke you. But this you doesn't explain, react, or chase. It observes, learns, and walks away without warning, knowing its worth. One day, they'll sit alone, maybe on a quiet night or a long drive, and your name will hit like a wave, not because they want to reach out, but because your memory is a mirror of who they were with you and who they became without you. They'll see the gap, the emptiness, the mistake, and it'll devour them. They didn't fail to love you. They failed to match your soul's depth. They'll pretend they're fine, laughing too loud, moving too fast. But inside, they carry your absence like a ghost that won't leave. a reminder of something pure, rare, real they destroyed. There's no coming back from that. Some lessons don't offer second chances. Some people don't return when they're done. Some goodbyes are silent, but echo forever. They'll claim you were difficult, too intense, your love too heavy with expectations, but they know the truth. All you asked for was effort, honesty, consistency, the bare minimum from someone who gave everything. You didn't demand worship, you wanted to be chosen as fiercely as you chose them, but people don't admit they failed you. They spin tales, play victim because admitting they mishandled something rare is too raw, so they'll wear masks, force smiles, and search for you in crowds, but it won't work. The replacements are built for show, not struggle. When the masks crack, the glitter fades, they'll remember you, your steadfastness, your loyalty, your love that didn't waver. That memory lingers, scratching at their soul like a debt they'll never pay. You won't hate them. You'll outgrow them. That's what they don't expect. They're used to people staying stuck, small, wounded. But you took your pain and forged power, turned their silence into strategy, walked through their flames, and emerged sharper, untouchable. They wanted you broken to feel whole, but you healed without their apology. That growth isn't loud. It doesn't need fanfare. It's in your peace, the way your name no longer shakes when mentioned, the way your presence excludes them. That's what haunts them. They no longer matter in a life they once starred in. The best part, you're not bitter or plotting revenge. You just stopped trying. You realized being enough for the wrong people was never your failure, but their blindness. One day, someone will see your glow and know what it cost to shine so bright. They'll respect your silence, not just your strength, because silence holds lessons, boundaries, scars. When you meet someone who hears your silence and stays, you'll understand why nothing worked before. It wasn't about being loved. It was about being understood. Those before left because they couldn't match your soul's depth. They wanted surface. You were oceans. They wanted attention. You offered meaning. And meaning scares those in disguise. You were a mirror showing their true selves, and they ran. The truth always catches up. When it does, your name won't just be a memory. It'll be a symbol of what they had, ruined, and can never reclaim. So don't wait for closure or their awakening. Let them sleep on your worth. Let them drown in the silence they forced on you. You owe yourself peace, growth, and the absence that speaks louder than words ever could. When they show you who they are, believe them. When they leave you bleeding and call it a phase, believe your pain, your intuition, your worth. They may never admit it, but one day they'll see. The day you walked away wasn't when they lost you. It was when they proved they never deserved you. And by the time the truth dawns, you'll be living the life they said you couldn't build without them. That's justice. They'll try to copy your strength, mimic your calm, echo your words, thinking it's just confidence or attitude, but they'll never grasp that your calm was forged in chaos, born from betrayal, from nights begging for a sign that your pain would mean something, that your tears wouldn't be wasted, that the heartbreaks and silence would lead somewhere. You didn't wake up detached. You became it because the world taught you brutally that people love you only when you're useful. When your heart asks for respect, love, or attention, they vanish. So you stopped asking, stopped needing, and turned pain into armor. Now, when they see you cold and unreadable, they think it's attitude. No, it's survival. You survived their games, being undervalued, taken for granted. They no longer get the version of you they toyed with. When their fake love fades, when their options reveal their true faces, they'll sit with the truth. The one who saw their darkness and still chose them is gone. You weren't there to impress. You were there to stay. You didn't try to outshine anyone. They were too blind to see no one else was in your lane. You gave depth in a shallow world, substance in a culture chasing surfaces, and they threw it away for fleeting thrills. Being irreplaceable doesn't hit when you're there, it hits when you're gone, when silence becomes a mirror, when distractions fade, and their minds drift to the one who never gave up until they had no choice. That regret will stay, whispering, creeping into their thoughts when they least expect it. They won't outrun your memory. You weren't meant to stay where you were disrespected. You were too loyal, too patient, too hopeful they'd change. But they saw your deep love and treated you like a placeholder. Your absence is their consequence. You didn't become selfish. You chose yourself in spaces where you were never chosen. That scares them, because once a giver turns their love inward, once they protect their peace instead of explaining it, the dynamic shifts. You're no longer an option, no longer accessible. They hate that, not because they miss you, but because they can't use you anymore. They can't rely on your kindness to clean their mess, or expect you to pick up pieces while they keep breaking things. That's what eats at them, the power they lost, the comfort they took for granted, the fear someone else will value you as they should have. You don't need revenge or to expose them. Life's doing that. Keep growing, becoming, moving forward with silence as your anthem. Your peace is louder than their apologies, your success heavier than their excuses. Your absence speaks now. Every room feels colder, every conversation shallower, every connection fleeting. They'll think of you not with hatred, but longing, regret. That's not your burden. You loved, stayed, gave, and when it wasn't enough, you left. Not with anger, but clarity. Now they sit with that void, the space they called too much. Let them. By the time they realize your worth, you'll be too far gone to hear them. Pathetic. That's what you are, isn't it? Sitting there, drowning in excuses, thinking anyone cares about your failures. They don't. They'll forget you faster than you forget yourself. You either rise or fade into nothing. Listen close, I won't repeat this. Burn or be forgotten. You complained life's harsh, unfair, unbearable. Think you're the only one hurting? Welcome to reality. Everyone's fighting, struggling, but no one owes you a thing. Your pain isn't unique. Your tears mean nothing. People will trample your grave, move on, and never recall your name. Are you a coward hiding from truth? Or someone who fights, who claws out of the pit they dug? Here's the reality. No one cares about your dreams, your goals. Only results. Deliver or disappear. No one's waiting. No one's saving you. You save yourself or rot. You've been fed lies that the world will reward your patience. Bane's laughter echoes there. The world will chew you up, spit you out, and mock your collapse. And you let it, because playing victim is easier, isn't it? Easier to sulk in shadows, whining about life's cruelty, than to stand, break your bones, burn your soul to etch your name into eternity. Every wasted day is gone forever. Time's a thief, stealing your life while you're too weak to fight back. You think tomorrow's promised? It's not. Tomorrow belongs to the fierce, the relentless, those who burn today, who sacrifice all to be remembered, to leave a mark no one can erase. But you wallow in misery while your soul's fire dims. Burn or be forgotten. It's that simple. Want pity, want someone to hold your hand, say it'll be okay, keep dreaming. That's not how this works. You either set the world ablaze with your will, your fury, your drive, or you vanish, swallowed by the mediocrity you've embraced. No one will remember you. No one will care. Think you're above this? Prove it. Stop talking about what you want and take it. Rip it from those who doubted you, who laughed at your struggle. Don't you dare walk away from the fight. Don't give in. You have one life slipping away. With every excuse, every second you waste, feeling sorry for yourself. You've been weak too long. Wake up. Burn or be forgotten. Burn until the world knows your name, feels your presence, trembles at your power. Burn until every lie, every doubt, every weakness is ash. Burn until you're unstoppable, unforgettable. If you don't, you'll fade. Just another name on a list of failures, of cowards too scared to seize what they deserved. Hear me. This is your last chance. Rise now or sink forever. Become a force of destruction, tearing down everything until only your legacy remains. Or vanish, forgotten forever. If you can't, you deserve nothing. I see it in your eyes. You think you've tried enough, that the world owes you for your effort. Don't make me laugh. Your best means nothing if you're still whining instead of standing atop the world. Think you've suffered enough to earn success? Suffering entitles you to nothing. Pain is the currency of existence, and only those who make it count survive. What do you have to show for your struggle? Failure. And instead of clawing back up, crawling through mud, blood, and agony to rise, you wallow in shame, wanting to quit. Go ahead, quit, walk away, but don't expect pity or remembrance. The world is full of people like you, weak, hopeless, waiting for a miracle. That miracle isn't coming. Want to change your life? Fight, bleed, sacrifice everything for one shot at greatness. But you're sitting here thinking the universe will hand it to you. Number, want it? Take it. Rip it from those who didn't want it enough. You're not special. No one is. That's the point. Become more than human, more than flesh and blood. Become fire, an unstoppable force consuming all in its path. Burn so bright the world must notice. That's how you become unforgettable. But you're scared of what it takes, what you'll lose, who you'll become. The you right now, weak, pathetic, a shadow of your potential, must die. Burn it down and rebuild from the ashes. Greatness isn't safe. It's not walking everyone else's path. No one remembers the comfortable, the risk-averse, the shadow dwellers. They remember those who dared to burn, who risked everything, even if it meant losing all. Those are the legends. So, what's it going to be? Fade into oblivion, lost in mediocrity's sea, or stand, face the fire, burn brighter than anyone thought possible? Will you prove them wrong, stand when others fall? Burn so fiercely your fear melts, until doubt, pain, hesitation are smoke in the wind. Burn until you're a raw, unstoppable force of will. If you don't, you'll be forgotten, A nobody like the rest, too afraid to take what's theirs. Think you've seen pain. You haven't scratched the surface of what it takes to make it. Real pain isn't just physical. It's waking daily knowing you're nothing, that every wasted second nails your dream's coffin shut. Every hesitation, every doubt, and the world moves on without you. The clock's ticking, time running out faster than you can imagine, yet you beg for someone to care, for a lifeline. The world doesn't care. It never did. Want help? Look in the mirror. You're alone in this fight. Everyone else is burying you or has forgotten you exist. You're no one's priority but your own. Stop waiting for permission, validation, or what's yours. It slips further with every delay. Your excuses, I'm tired, scared, lost, are pathetic. Think the greats let fear stop them? They didn't wait for readiness or perfect timing. They stepped into the fire without hesitation, knowing it's burn or fade. The pain of trying and failing is nothing compared to the agony of being forgotten. Every day you're paralyzed. Someone else takes what's yours, grinding harder, sacrificing more, pushing past breaking points while you hide in excuses. They'll succeed, rise, and you'll wonder why it wasn't you. It's because you lack the guts, the fire. You didn't burn for it. There's no middle ground, rise or fall. Take what's yours or someone else will. Burn or disappear. Choose now. Let the fire consume you until only your legacy remains. Or shrink, wither, and let the world forget you in the shadows of those who dared to take everything